Hey guys, Bird Yugioh here, coming at you with another deck profile. This time I'm doing an update to my Salamangreat deck. We had a few changes on the last ban list, which I am incorporating into this. So yeah, if you guys haven't already, go ahead and subscribe, and we will get right into this one. Starting off with one of your best normal summons in Foxy. If this card is normal summoned, you can activate the top 3 cards of your deck. And if you do, add 1 excavated Salamangreat card to your hand. And then also he has an effect if he's in the graveyard and you have a face-up Speller Trap. You can discard 1 Salamangreat card and then special summon him, and you have the option of destroying 1 face-up Speller Trap on the field. So that comes up. He's very good, like I said, really good normal summon. And then Spinny is another really good one. I like it at 3. Some people bumped it down to 2. But it's just so easy to, send it to the graveyard and then get it back to the field. It's just free material, basically. So if you control a Salamangreat card, you just discard him and target 1 face-up monster on the field. It gains 500 attack. And then if you control a Salamangreat monster other than Spinny, you can special summon him from the grave for free. He is banished when he leaves the field, but you're getting a free body, so... And then just 1 Gazelle. He's at 1. It's an amazing card. Mostly, he's going to be the card you're searching off of, like Circle or Lady Debug. He's the one you want to see in your hand at all times, whenever you can. Because if a Salamangreat monster is sent to the graveyard, so either from the deck to the graveyard, hand to the graveyard, field to the graveyard, anyway, you can special summon him. And then if he's normal or special summoned, you can send 1 Salamangreat card from your deck to your graveyard. Sometimes you want that to be one of your traps so that you can then add it back later, or sometimes you want it to be a Spinny, get more fodder, or a Jaguar. You just have a lot of options with him. He's absolutely amazing. And then I like 2 Jaguar. He's got some high attack, 1800. He inflicts piercing battle damage. But the main reason you have him is when he's in the graveyard, you can target 1 Salamangreat monster in your graveyard and then shuffle that into the deck, and then you can special summon him. So he is really good. It has to be special summoned to a zone a Salamangreat monster points to, but that's pretty easy. And then just 1 Falco. So these are your level 3s. And then these are your level 4s to easily make like a Bish Dweller or just have some big bodies on board. But if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 Salamangreat Speller Trap in your graveyard and set that to your field. So, off a Gazelle, and then if you can send him to the graveyard, you can then add that Speller Trap that you sent to the graveyard with Gazelle. Just set that right to the field. So it is really nice. Then if this is in your graveyard, you can target 1 Salamangreat monster you control, and then add that back to your hand, and then you can special summon him from the grave. So a lot of these have ways of, if they're in the grave, they can come back pretty easily. And then just 1 Foul. If a Salamangreat monster is summoned, basically, you can special summon this from your hand. And then he's also got an effect. You can send 1 Salamangreat card from your hand or face up on the field to the graveyard, and target 1 set Speller Trap your opponent controls, and it can't be activated this turn. So it can lock out, potentially a Speller Trap that you do not want to see. And then fresh off the ban list, 3 Lady Debug. It's your, depending on what you have in your hand, it can potentially be your best normal summon, because you just normal or special summon this, and then you can add 1 level 3 or lower Cyber's monster. So a lot of times if you don't have it, that's an easy way of getting your Gazelle to your hand, or any other level 3 or lower Cyber's monster. Even Flame Buffalo for your next turn if you want to, so that's why I say potentially. Depending on your hand, Foxy can be your best normal summon, Lady Debug can be your best normal summon, or Flame Buffalo. And honestly, a lot of times if I have him along with, one of these, sometimes you're going to want to normal summon him and then use his effect to draw 2. Because basically, if this face-up card leaves the field, you can discard one Cyber's monster, so any of these, and then if you do, draw 2 cards. So really, really nice. You're getting normally going to be getting like a Link monster on board, plus getting to draw 2. Sometimes, like I said, if you have him and Lady Debug, sometimes you want to do Flame Buffalo if you need some more traps or just potentially some better cards to your hand. He's a good option. And then a must is Ash Blossom, because you can use her, and then with like Sunlight Wolf, you can add her back to hand. You just have many ways of abusing this card and reusing it. So Ash Blossom is definitely a necessity. And then another one I'm playing, another hand trap, is 3 Droll and Lockbird. I really like it right now because everything wants to search, especially the new Spiral deck that's out. It just searches constantly. So locking them out of that is really going to help you out, especially in that matchup. So that is it for the monsters. On to the spells. Basically, one of the best ones is going to be Salamangreat Circle. You just activate it and add 1 Salamangreat monster from your deck to your hand. So this is another one you can abuse, because if you use it, it's in the graveyard, then you can reset it to the field with Falco or Sunlight Wolf. So amazing card, and it's a quick play. So if your opponent was like targeting it to destroy it, then you can chain this and still get a search off. Just 1 Salamangreat Sanctuary. You're going to search it off of Balinks. It is really good, and it's a lot of times you really want the search off of Balinks, and it sucks if your opponent ashes that so you can't get it, because this is key to most of your plays. Really good card. 2 Will. I have seen some people play 3. I really don't ever want to see more than 1 in a duel usually, but it is a Salamangreat card, so you can discard it sometimes off of some effects. But basically during your main phase, you can special summon 1 Salamangreat monster from your hand or graveyard, so that's really good. 1 card destruction. This has actually helped me out a lot when I'm testing this deck out online and stuff, because you just discard your entire hand and draw the same number of cards, so each player does. So a lot of times that's going to be getting you some pretty good cards in grave, like Jack Jaguar or Spinny. Really nice, and then it just refills your hand with some other cards that you might need. Foolish Burial. Usually you're sending like a Spinny or sometimes Foxy or a Gazelle. Even if you have a Will in hand, you might want to send a Gazelle so that you can then summon that back and get his effect off. So Foolish Burial is just perfect for this deck. And then 1 Pot of Avarice. Heck, I've even had some first turns, just linking up into stuff. You'll easily get 5 monsters in the grave, and then you're just going to draw 2. So really nice. That's it for the spells. No Signet Mining. I wouldn't say this deck is cheap, but we're going a little cheaper by not playing the Signet Minings. So yeah, this is a little more of a budget option for Salamangreats, because you don't have to play any Impermanence or Phantasmes or the Signet Minings. But 2 Roar and 2 Rage. I like to play both of these at 2, just so you have a higher chance of seeing them in hand, because they're great, and then still have some Descend to Grave to then set them back. Roar. When a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated while you control a Salamangreat Link monster, you're just going to negate the activation and destroy it. And it's a counter trap, so it's really good. And then when this card is in the graveyard, if a Salamangreat Link monster is link summoned to your field using a monster with the same name, you can set this card, but banish it when it leaves the field off of that effect. So you have an easy way of reusing this card. And then Rage. You have 2 effects that you can activate. You either send 1 Salamangreat monster from your hand or face up on your field to the graveyard and target 1 monster on the field and destroy it. So that's usually if your opponent is trying to, MST this or something. You can usually chain that effect at the least. But then its better effect is If you have a Salamangreat Link monster that was Link summoned with the same name, you can destroy cards your opponent controls up to that monster's Link rating. So usually you're going to have, like a Sunlight Wolf, Link rating of 2, and if he's used making himself, then you can pop 2 cards your opponent controls. So that is really, really nice. And then to round off the traps, playing 3 Judgment and 3 Warning. I like this. I don't know why I chose these over, playing some strikes, but I've found this is really nice to just negate summons. And then obviously Judgment's just negating anything, but I like it. It's been working well for me. Try it out. It's really fun. This is kind of a really control version, but you can definitely go second, first, whatever you want. It's still really, really good, really consistent. And then extra deck, play 3 Baylinks. It just requires 1 level 4 lower Cyberse monster. When it's Link summoned, you add that Salamangreat Sanctuary. That's why we only play 1. You just add that to your deck. And then when he's in the graveyard, if a Salamangreat card you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can just banish this from the graveyard instead of that monster being destroyed. So really, really good effect. Protects your stuff. 3 Sunlight Wolf. You'll go through 3 of these very quickly, but it's got a few really, really good effects. If a monster is normal or special summon to a zone that he points to, you can add 1 fire monster from your graveyard to your hand. You can't activate, or you can't normal or special summon monsters with that name during the rest of that turn. But yeah, so that's your way of getting back an Ash Blossom for your next turn. Usually when your opponent sees that, or at least in my experience with it, if you make a pretty good board, set a couple, and then you add that Ash back to hand, they usually are going to be scooping because they need to be searching something, and if you're stopping that, then it's going to really hurt them. But his other effect, if you Link summon using another Sunlight Wolf, into a Sunlight Wolf, then you can add 1 Salamangreat Spell and Trap from your graveyard to your hand. So again, really good. 1800 attack. He just requires 2 fire effect monsters. And then 2 Yugioh. He's your best one for going second. Got 2300 attack. If he's Link summoned, you just target 1 card in your opponent's spell and trap zone and shuffle it into the deck. So that comes up for, decks that play a lot of traps. And then once per turn during your main phase, if this card was Link summoned using a Yugioh, you can target 1 face-up monster on the field and 1 monster in your graveyard, and the attack of the monster on the field becomes equal to the other target that you target in the graveyard. So you can potentially make some of your monsters 2300 if you Link summon him, so you have 1 in grave and then 1 here. Or a lot of times what I find is, like, if I have a Baylinks in grave, I will lower an opponent's monster to 500. So either way, he's just a really good card for going second. 1 Hita, you can just target 1 fire monster in your opponent's graveyard and special summon it to a zone this card points to. And then if this Link summon card is destroyed by battle or is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can add 1 fire monster with 1500 or less defense from your deck to your hand. So this does a lot of good for this deck. If your opponent tries to Ash Blossom you, you can special summon that and just get more fodder for Links. Then 1 Nightmare Phoenix. It's a way of going into Yugioh or Sunlight Wolf even after you use his effect because he's fire. It's just easy spell trap removal. Borload. It can potentially, turn 2 or 3 be pretty easy to make this. And it's a good out to a lot of cards your opponent's putting on board. And then Trisbania, you have ways of special summoning to these zones. So this becomes just banish monsters. If you special summon to a zone, you just banish that monster, and then and then banish as many spell and traps on the field as possible, and inflict 500 damage for each of those banished. So it's really good against spell trap heavy decks. And then Bomber, if you special summon to his zone, you just destroy all monsters in the main monster zone. And then the final 2 cards, one Abyss Dweller. He's usually your go-to if you get 2 level 4s on board. Make him, and shut off your opponent's grave, basically. And then I'm going with a Dante. Right now he's cheaper than the Fire Fist rank 3. He doesn't do anything, like, he doesn't add from the grave, but he can potentially get you some really good cards in grave. So sometimes it's worth it, if you just have a lot of level 3s you really don't know what to do with. Sometimes just slapping down a Dante and risking, getting some good cards in the grave for just a monster with good defense, basically, is what you're doing here. So I like him. He is still, pretty good. So that is the deck, guys. Kind of a more budget-ish Salamangreat deck. Yeah, so we will do some test hand videos probably tomorrow. I'm not sure what decks yet I'm going to be doing. I might be backtracking to some older decks that I've done. But yeah, if you guys like what you see, go and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.